ahead and turn things over to our user spotlight guest for this month, Tahnee Bowen. She is a school counselor with the Arkansas School Counselors Association. And fun fact, she is actually one of our oldest CT clients, and she stayed with us all the way since 2012. So she's really gotten to see how CT has evolved over the years. But with that, go ahead and take it away, Tahnee.
Okay. Oh.
Perfect, and we can see your screen.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. We've been doing this for quite a while, and what I wanted to start out by saying is that we were really, truly cavemen times at the time, back in the day. We started out pre-2010, and we did paper registrations. We did it through our conference center, and it was everything was through snail mail. We did the invoice versus check, and it took 4 to 5 months for certificates. We kind of moved up in 2011, and we did registration through Google Docs, which is still an invoice and check, and it still took 4 to 5 months because they had to sign in each session. We passed the paper around, and they wrote their name and their email down for every single session that they went to. In 2012, we started with Conference Tracker, and we started moving up in the world. We did payment by credit card, but it was basically more like through a PayPal situation. And we had a scanner on an iPad or an Apple device at the conference that they could scan. And finally, we only use Conference Tracker for our CEUs. And we lowered our amount of how long it took to do our certificates, and our attendees were very grateful. Now, the state of Arkansas, the Department of Education, they're very, very particular, and we had to have documentation of how we kept record of who was attending what. I don't know why it's so stringent for the counselors and teachers on their things, but it is, because it's not the same for administration, but it is. Finally, last year was probably our best year ever, and we were doing credit cards through Stripe, and we did it through Conference Tracker. We also had registration. We completely had 97% through Conference Tracker. We still have some that want to do it old school, about 3% with the paper, but this year we are having no paper registration whatsoever. And last year we had it in less than a month, and the only reason it took a month for certificates was because we did the virtual, and we gave them a month to watch all the sessions they wanted to. So what we've learned over the years is be like Elsa, let it go. We used to stand there and we would use Conference Tracker's devices, and we would scan everybody in and out as they went through the door. And we finally let it go. And we are doing the attendees self-sign in, and we would just have the QR codes, and they would sign themselves in as they go in the session, and we would mass enter the ending time of the session. We also have more people now because we had a big turnover in counseling. A lot of people retired, and we teach them how to check in their own hours. And if they didn't get signed into something, they will come to the front desk and let us know. And they will let you know if they forgot to sign in. Then we started last year with the vendor registration, and it was so much easier and so much more organized. And just, if you're not using the vendor registration, just do it. The biggest thing that we learned was the virtual versus live. It was kind of, COVID changed everything. And the first year we were only virtual. We didn't have to use Conference Tracker. We didn't know what to do, and we went through the State Department's program, and it was a pain, to be quite honest. It was a pain. But going through Conference Tracker and using their virtual program was so much better. It shows how long they were in there. It showed the time they were in and when they checked out. The first year was a little bit different, but then it was just so much better. But one thing we learned: do not use the same session ID number. You really need to use two different numbers, one for the virtual session and one for the on-site session, because we got a lot of times mixed up otherwise. And by doing it with two session numbers last year, it made night and day as far as being able to keep them straight. And also encourage your presenters to do a pre-submit on your presentations. They were really hesitant to do that during the 2022 conference, but last year they did it, and it more so, and it was so much easier. Also, when you're trying to record them live, the sound quality was just not there, and it's nothing on our end. It was the conference center. And unless you're hiring someone to do it that has the equipment professionally, you're just not going to get that audio quality. The invoices, we multitask your invoices. What we end up doing for our attendees, like we will make our invoice and save it as a JPEG and upload it as our background, but we will also put our membership cards at the bottom, and then just add the things to carry over, like their membership ID numbers, as well as what region they're in. And that way they can cut that out and they will always have that. And that's a big thing for us because they can never remember their ID numbers. And that way we have them enter that when they register. And if they don't know, we will enter it for them in that registration. So that's an easy way to do it. Another big thing, I talked a little bit about this, about the on-site versus virtual, is the self-scan. And you basically, with the virtual, you treat it like it's another conference. Handouts, make sure you upload them with those sessions. And the repeated sessions on the on-site, give it a different identification. What we do is our conference lasts for 3 days, and I would put the day, like if it's a Wednesday, I'll put a W first, then I would put the room number that it's in, and I would do like a time. So it would be like W204 9 for 9 o'clock. And that way that was specific for that, because if it was still in 204 and it was a 10 o'clock session, it would be W20410. And then I would have the title of the session. And that helps when your time stamps, it helps you know that they didn't mess up and sign into the wrong session. Invoices versus receipt. We have a few times that they want the actual receipt for where they paid for it. Don't make it hard. Use your invoice. So what we did was we made the invoice and we just copied it under the invoice. We changed the document title from invoice to receipt. And this particular one is for exhibitors only, so that's why you don't see the membership. We modify our table. And all you have to do is add the third line, and we call it the first part payment for the third column. We add this in the second part of it as credit, and that puts in how much they paid. And we put the third column as total, so it puts it in that total part. And then we just add another text box, a paid in full. We also deleted this please include invoice number with the payment, because then they have a receipt. So don't make it hard. Just copy what you already have. This has been a big game changer. So and then I have them named receipt exhibitors, receipt attendees, and the same way with the invoice. Our invoices look identical for the exhibitors as well as the attendees. The only difference is that membership numbers in the corner. Your exhibitors will not have that. We had someone, and it was one of our exhibitors that approached us. They were going to charge us $50,000. They said they would handle our registrations. They would also handle membership throughout the year. They would handle all the vendors, and they would handle on-site providers. But they would not have a website to host the virtual sessions. They would not provide or do the certificates, and they would not work our session verification, which was the main part of our conference. That is the most important part. And they were going to charge us a minimum of $50,000. We're a small organization, a nonprofit. It was not worth it. Conference Tracker does all that and more. Yeah, we do a lot of the legwork on it, but you really need to consider, if you're looking that route, is it really worth it? So what we really finally got right, I'm glad to know that they can go back in now and you can look at your former conferences. We end up holding a copy of our certificates. We also run an email report about everything, and we got rid of the paper registration. I've had people contact me, I can't find my certificate from 2 and 3 years ago, and they're needing it because it's time to renew their certification for their licensure. So thank you, Garrett and Chad, for adding that feature to where we can go back and look for their certificates. And this is just a few little pictures from what we had in the past and just kind of what our conference looks like. Just a little view. Let me turn that down. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to ask. I'll stick on here. We usually run about 500 people. Because of the app, we no longer use paper copies of our programs. We used to do both, but now we only use Conference Tracker programs.
Great. Thank you, Tahnee, so much. It's been a pleasure to work with you throughout the years. I actually looked today, it's been 12 years that we've been working together. I didn't realize it's been that long. It's been a long, long time. And I really like your use of Conference Tracker and kind of thinking outside the box on a few of the features, especially like the invoices and using that as receipts. So
yeah,
thank you so much for being our user spotlight today.